Welcome to the third video where we'll tackle the third function in assignment 6 of topic 6, and that's shift to positive in place. So that's basically doing the same thing as the shift to positive, meaning adding a fixed number, a fixed shift to all numbers so that the array only contains positive numbers. In shift to positive we made a copy. Now we needed to do it in place, meaning in the array given itself. So let's see what's happening here. This is my shift to positive, where I decide, where I first ask for the minimum of the array with some other function that we made in the first video. Then if that happens to be a negative number, I'm going to switch it to a positive because I need to add the positive. If I have -7 as the smallest number in the array, I need to add 7 to all the numbers in the array, and else I'm going to set the shift to 0, because if everything's positive I don't need to shift anything. And I'm going to set up a new array, and for all elements of the given array I'm going to push those elements to the new array with the shift and return the result. Now I have to shift to positive in place, so I basically can start off with doing this, shift to positive in place, and I probably have an older version which I need to take care of. Okay, so let's take it out, and what I'm going to do is just now doing it in the array itself and not in a copy of the array. So I won't need a new array. I will check all the elements of the array, but if I'm going for all the elements in the array, I have not enough. I need the indices of the elements. So I'm going to do it with a good old-fashioned for I, going for all the elements in the array. Okay, so from 0 to array length not included. And what I'm going to do is basically use this expression, but I'm not going to push it to some new array. I'm just going to write it to my old array at the position where I add, and so I'm going to just add the shift to all these. Okay, so remind the fact that if I'm given an array is just holding the address of the array, so I'm actually pointing to the array of the user. It's not a copy of the array, it's a copy of the address of the array, but either as well, the user as well as our function holds the same array in two separate variables, but the address is the same, so they're pointing to the same array. And I'm going to do the same thing here, decide what's the minimum, decide if I need to shift or not, and then I'm basically going to address all elements in the array through their index and add the shift to them. Okay, so let's see if this works. I have a shift to positive in place. Okay, so I can test it here, and this doesn't work. Click to see the difference. I have it undefined, so something's off with my code. I have an array coming in, finding the minimum of the array, deciding what the shift will be, either adding a positive number or adding 0, and then I'm going for all the indices in my array, and I'm going to add the shift to this array. So this should be okay, unless I have a shift to positive in place somewhere else. Let's make sure I don't. No, that's okay. So I'm going to just figure out what's happening here. Let's go to the tests, see what happened in the test. So I have an array, and this should be okay. If I have only positives here, nothing should have happened. Oh, let's go back to this one. This is checking if my array actually is still the old array, so I didn't change the array because I have a shift to positive but not in place. And this checks if I have only positive numbers, that nothing got changed in the array. Now I have the positive shift in place, so I need to be sure that my array now changed to the new values. Okay, and again, it shouldn't change a thing in an array where I only have positive numbers. Okay, this is not correct, so I'm going to find out what's happening here. I have an undefined. But I guess it should return the array as well. Okay, so let's first see if my array should be returned. Probably just for test purposes, because if I would set up a mutating function that changes my array, then that's actually more of a command than a query. So remember, query and command. This also brings me a principle next to dry and single responsibility principle. I also have command query separation. Okay. In which we write functions, and each function should be either a command or a query. If it's a command, it should do something and have some effect, but it shouldn't answer, so it should basically not return anything. A query shouldn't have any side effect, not even writing to the screen or something like that, or printing a piece of paper, but it gives me an answer. Okay. So we call this, or you have it in web development as well. It's called idempotent, and a query should always give me the same answer, no matter how many times I ask it. Okay. So in web development, it's you have it in the full loop from web client to web server as well, where you either have a post or a get. Okay. So the post can change something on the server, the get can't. We are going to do the same thing in software development. So if we have something that changes our array, it's clearly a command, and it shouldn't return anything. So it's kind of violating this. But I figure that only for the test purposes they did it. Okay. So let's first see if I'm correct about my assumptions here. And I am. Okay. So basically, this test shouldn't be there, and it should just be testing this. Okay. And I shouldn't return anything if I want to adhere to the command query separation. Okay. Still have a problem here. It doesn't seem to have changed anything. So let's find out why. I have a lot of elements here that doesn't seem to make sense. I have -2, 1. These are the actual values. These are the expected values. So, but I can't seem to lock in on what's actually happening. I can't debug it as well. So means that before I call it here, it's already. Oh yes, of course. Stupid me. I need to, of course, call the function, even though it doesn't return anything. So that should be the actual test. I'm calling the function, and it should have a side effect as a command. Okay, so that would be the better way to, or the proper way to test things here. So now I have a problem with this. Okay, because also this doesn't return anything. So I should, of course, do this. Set up the array, call another array here. I can call this positive array, okay, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. And then of course I need to shift positive into place on my array, which is the positive array, and then I should check my positive array for being not changed, okay. So that would be the proper way to write the tests here if I want to separate command and query. Okay, so the whole problem was that my shift to positive in place, sorry, also needed to return something that was compared to this, and then we're comparing the original array if it has changed as well. There's no need in returning anything since this is clearly a command and not a query. Okay, so there we go. That's it for this exercise. However, let's quickly check if we can clean up, okay, and on the single responsibility side this seems okay. I can even get rid of this, okay. I don't need to return the array anymore, but I can see that I have quite some lookalike code, okay. So on the level of dry there seems to be a violation, and that's of course because I'm doing two things here. I'm basically solving the problem, shifting to positive, but I'm also copying the array. Okay, so basically I could say shift to positive would be doing shift to positive in place on a copy, and for that perhaps I can first of all make a copy function. That's something nice to have, because I kind of sneak peeked and I have the same thing with sort and sort copy, okay, in which I sort in place and I sort on a copy of the array, okay. So I will be able to use the copy there as well. So let's make a copy function that copies my array, okay, and what it's going to do is the following. I will have a new array that I'm going to call the copy, and then for each element of the array I'm going to push the element to my copy, and then I finally will return the copy, okay. So this is basically just a loop giving me all the elements of the array and pushing them to some new array called copy and then returning it. So now my shift to positive would be doing this. I can have an array that's called the copy, which would be a copy of my original array, and then I will shift positive into place on my copy, okay, by which I don't actually shift to positive on the original array but on the copy, and then I can finally return the copy, okay. So that should be the cleanup for the dry. Let's check everything. So let's check these tests. I have a problem, and that's probably because I have written the copy function already somewhere else, so I need to take it out. Okay, I have older code in this file. Should be okay now. Yes, and let's test the other ones as well. So the shift to positive is okay, and the shift to positive in place should be okay as well. So let's run this one as well. Shift to positive, cannot access copy before initialization. Might be that I have a problem with names here, because I have a function called copy and a variable called copy. Let's just test it out. So that solved the problem, okay. And I have figured out a way to do, or to have all tests succeeding, okay. So let's go over it one more time. The shift to positive in place is going to decide whether the shift needs to be done. So meaning if I have a negative shift, so if I find a minimum that's negative, the shift will be the same amount but positive. If I find minus 7, I need to add 7 to all elements. If everything is positive, then the shift will be, the minimum will be positive, and then in that case the shift might be must be 0 because I won't shift. And then I'm basically going over all the elements in the array, all the initials in the array, and at every position I'm adding the shift. Okay. Now back to the shift to positive where I work on a copy. I can make a copy of the array, then call shiftToPositiveInPlace on the copy and return the copy, by which shiftToPositive actually gives me a copy of the array but shifted to positive. And that's it for these functions.